After the huge crowd had been fed, Jesus left the disciples and walked into the hills. The disciples got back into their boat and sailed across the Lake Galilee. But soon night fell, and they were struggling, facing into a strong wind in the darkness. They rowed on strong, powerful oarsmen, ready for battle. And although their boat hardly moved against the wind, they kept their heads down. If they were afraid, they did not admit it to other man. The darkness folded closer. The spray stung their eyes. They rowed blindly, digging their oars into the blackness, pulling, fighting. And the boat edged its way across the lake. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning when one of them happened to look up for a moment, shaking his hair clear of the drenching sea, and he saw something. He motioned to his friends, but as he did so, a terrible, chilling fear gripped him. The other disciples looked up slowly, one by one, as if drawn by extraordinary sight, but no one spoke. They were speechless with fear. Suddenly, one of them cried out, screaming into the storm, "Ghost! It's a ghost!" Terror gripped them, worse than any storm or any darkness they had known. Then the voice came, a voice so gentle and strong and familiar. "Do not be afraid." Simon sat up slowly in utter amazement. He knew, he was almost certain, who it was. He looked up and saw a figure standing on the dark, restless waves. "Don't be afraid, it's me." None of the other disciples moved. They did not care. They were frozen where they were. They sat crouched. They did not know what to think and could not utter a sound. But Simon stood up slowly. "Lord," he said, "if it is you." He hesitated and then breathed deeply. "If it really is you, then tell me to come across the waves." Jesus stretched out his hands, and then there was a tremendous in his command. "Come on, then." They all knew it was Jesus. Simon climbed onto the edge of the boat and, looking straight at Jesus, stepped off on one foot into the darkness. He landed on the water as if he were stepping onto a solid pathway. The waves took his weight. He lifted the other foot off the boat and into the sea. Now Simon was standing all alone, facing Jesus, his feet firmly on the water. He stepped forward. A sudden squall carried the wind, lashing his face. For a moment he lost sight of Jesus. He thought of the deep waters beneath him. He was sinking into the icy dark, and the waves were breaking over his head. He could see nothing. He was going to drown. He screamed out, "Lord, save me." A hand seized his hand at that instant and pulled him up. Jesus lifted Simon before him. Now the fisherman was standing face to face with his master, and together they stood on the waves in complete safety. Jesus had held him with both arms on his shoulder, saying, "O man of little faith, why did you doubt?" Simon knew there was no blame, just that simple question which rang in his ears for many years to come. "Why did you doubt?" Then Jesus climbed into the boat, leading Simon with him, and the sudden wind died down, and the disciples gazed at Jesus. No one dared to say anything for a long time, but when they said, "Surely you are the Son of God,"